Got an interesting challenge for y'all. From now on, I want you, whenever you're watching the show, to just try and figure out which of these games I actually watched. Like which games I turned on the TV and I sat there just focused on this game. Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I am your host Nathan Lyttle, and this is WNBA Weekly, the show where I talk about some of the action that happened last week and some of the action that's going to be happening in the upcoming week, and every now and then I'll sprinkle in some of my own personal thoughts. So we had a lot of good action over the weekend. First, on Friday, the Fever had 3 players in double figures, led by 13 from Zellous, but the Mystics had 3 players in double figures as well, led by 22 from Vaughn, as Washington grabs a win. And then for the Connecticut side, Katie Douglas had a big day, leading the team with 23 points, but New York had 3 players in double figures, led by 15 points and 14 rebounds from Tina Charles. Avery Wardley-Talbot had a double-double of her own as well, and the Liberty had Connecticut their 3rd straight loss. The Liberty climbed back into the playoffs, and Connecticut, well, their hole just keeps getting deeper. Then the Stars had 3 players in double figures, led by 16 from Hammon, but the Shock had 4 players in double figures. Odyssey Sims had 22, Gloria Johnson and Courtney Parrish both had double-doubles, and the Stars now 4 straight losses, and the Tulsa Shock only 1 game behind them in the standings. And then the Souza has a double-double, leading the Dream with 21 points and 11 rebounds. Angel was 1 rebound short of a double-double, and Lyttle led the team with 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. I'm mentioning this because she's been a great playmaker all season for them. You know, she's an incredibly great all-around player. Offensively, she had a lot of high-scoring games. She's an underrated defender. She's really great, and she just doesn't get enough credit for what she does for this team. She deserves a lot of respect. Also, she led the team playing in 42 minutes. She's the only player in the game to play more than 40 minutes. But Candace Parker led the Sparks with 26 points. Nneka added a double-double with 14 points and a team-high 12 rebounds and 8 assists and 3 steals, as the Sparks grab a win in overtime, and the Dream now have dropped 4 games in a row. That number is too damn high! No, seriously, the fact that they can lose 4 in a row and they still have a 2-game lead on the number 2 seed, that tells you a lot. But hey, I'm noticing a pattern. The Atlanta Dream, at least the past 2 seasons, they had a great first half and fell apart in the second. You know what I've also noticed about the Atlanta Dream? They don't win the championship. I'm just saying, they seem to be following a regular pattern here. Then on Saturday, well, let's start with some of the stats here. Maya Moore, 13 points in the first quarter alone, finishes the game with 30 points. And then Tarashi, she led the team with 24 points, including hitting a jumper with 2.4 seconds left to give the Mercury a 2-point lead. And Brittany Griner also adding 19 points, 11 rebounds. She only had 2 blocks on those games, but one of those blocks was a huge rejection at the end of the game to seal the deal.
Not today.
giving the Mercury the win, ending Minnesota's streak at 11 games, and all but clinching that first seed. All but. I mean, they still got to keep playing the rest of the season, but I think they're like 1 or 2 wins away from officially clinching it. Then on Sunday, Tamika Catchings had 12 points in the first quarter, while the entire New York Liberty roster had 12 entire points as well. She outscored an entire team in that quarter. She finishes the game with 29 points and the Fever grab a win, and they swap places with the Liberty in the standings. And then the Mystics, they had 4 players in double figures, led by 20 from Lyttle, and Misamin also added a double-double. But the Sun had 5 players in double figures, led by 18 from Bentley. Vaughn had a double-double. Connecticut grabs a win in double overtime. It's a little too late though, as they're already out of the playoff race. They have been officially eliminated, in case you haven't heard the news. I'm sorry, Connecticut fans. At the same time, though, I'm proud of myself that I actually got one thing right. I said Connecticut wouldn't make the playoffs this year. I said that back in May. I'm glad that I was right. It's not that I hate Connecticut or anything. I'm not happy that they missed. I'm just glad that I was right. I like being right. It's a good feeling to have. Have you ever proven somebody right? It's a very happy feeling. Makes you feel like you're smarter than everybody else. So if you can feel like you're superior to the rest of the human race for just 2 damn seconds, why not enjoy it? Then for Los Angeles, the Sparks had 3 players in double figures, led by 18 from Nneka, but the Stars had 4 players in double figures, led by 21 from McBride, and Appel had a huge day as well, leading the team with 6 assists and 20 rebounds, 7 of them offensive. She had as many offensive rebounds as the entire LA team. And so the Stars, they finally get a win, though they're still half a game behind the Sparks for that 3rd seed, I should say. Then Angel McCoughtry sat out the game. She had tendonitis in both of her feet, apparently. And so she sat out the game in her absence. Lyttle led the way with 16 points, but the Sky had 5 players in double figures, led by 17 from Quigley. Fowles added a double-double as well, and the Sky grabbed a win, handing the Dream their 4th straight loss. And then last but not least, Skylar Diggins led the way with 23 points. Courtney Paris added a double-double. But behind 22 points from Sue Bird, the Storm came back in the second half, and they were able to grab a win, keep their playoff hopes alive. And after all of that excitement, here are the current standings. So in case you were wondering, the playoffs are just around the corner. Next Sunday is going to be the last day that the regular season games are played. And so playoff scenarios, Eastern Conference, Atlanta is the only team that's officially in. Connecticut is the only team that's officially out. They've all got like 3 or 4 games left on the schedule. So, we'll see what happens over these next few days. And then on Friday, we'll have a much clearer picture. Because right now, half a game is separating number 3 and 4 from number 5. Like the Liberty is number 5 right now. They're half a game behind Chicago and Indiana, 1.5 games behind Washington. And like I said, they've all got at least 3 games left on their schedule. So Washington, they could finish with the 2nd seed. They could potentially move into that number 1 seed if they win out. Or they could lose all of their games and fall out of the playoffs completely. Or they could lose all of their games and still be the number 2 seed. There's a lot of things that could happen over the next few days, so be watching very closely. But in the Western Conference, we already know Minnesota and Phoenix are going to be in. Like I said, Phoenix is in control right now. They just need to win 1 or 2 more games before they can officially clinch that number 1 seed. Los Angeles has lost 17 games this season compared to the 7 that Minnesota has lost. So Minnesota and Phoenix are going to be those top 2 seeds. Los Angeles is the 3rd seed, San Antonio the 4th seed. They've got a 2-game lead over Seattle, who with their win, they own the tiebreaker over Tulsa. So, long story short, San Antonio, they just have to win 1 game and they're in. They just have to win 1 of the last 2 games. Unfortunately, they're against Chicago, who they're playing desperately because 1 win could just knock them out completely. 1 loss, I mean. And then they've got Phoenix, I think, or was it Minnesota? Either way, tough teams. At the same time, though, San Antonio can lose their next 2 games and still be in the playoffs if Seattle and Tulsa both just lose 1 of their games. In order to get into the playoffs, Seattle has to win both of their games and San Antonio has to lose both of their games. Just to be safe, please, God, San Antonio, just win 1 game and then we're good. Please, just 1 game. That's all you need to do. So now for a few games to look forward to this week. First of all, on Tuesday you have 2 games. Phoenix at New York at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. New York is half a game out of the playoffs right now. 1 win could put them right back in it if somebody else loses as well. But, 1 loss could be devastating to them. And they really can't afford anything. They have to come out with fire and intensity. Otherwise, they're this close to being eliminated. They are right on the bubble. Then you've got Los Angeles at Minnesota on NBA TV at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is currently a first round preview. In Los Angeles, as I mentioned before, they've lost 17 games compared to the 7 that Minnesota has lost. So there's no chance of them trying to get into that top 2. So a win here, it would be good for them to try and get some confidence to know that they can go into Minnesota and grab a win. At the same time, though, a loss could end up helping them too, because maybe they'd rather play Phoenix. Though I don't see why anybody would rather play Phoenix. I think in the Western Conference, if you're not Phoenix or Minnesota, you're just fucked either way. Then on Wednesday, you've got two games, both of them being televised. The first one is a morning game, Chicago at Washington on NBA TV at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means if you're in LA and you want to check this game, it's going to be on at 9:30 in the morning, or 8:30 or 9:30. Check your local listings, but still, it's going to be pretty early in the morning. And the Eastern Conference is so jumbled up. One loss can move a team from third place to fifth, and it seems unlikely but there is a chance that Washington could lose a few games and fall out of the playoffs completely. So they really can't afford losses. But Chicago, they definitely can't afford losses, because one will knock them out of the playoffs. And so, the race is just really tight. Washington, they currently lead the season series 2-1, and this game, especially if Chicago can win it, it'll make a really fun race for that second seed. It gives them a good advantage to try to slip up in the standings, get home field advantage, at least for the first round. Then you got Phoenix at Atlanta on NBA TV at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The top teams in each respective conference, potential finals preview, blah, blah, blah. Atlanta is on a pretty long losing streak right now, and they need to turn it around, because even though they've clinched a playoff spot, the number one seed is still technically up for grabs. They have not officially clinched it yet, but one win might be enough. I think one is the magic number for them right now. But Phoenix, unfortunately, the best road team in the league. They're still trying to clinch the number one seed as well. I mean, this could be a fight, potentially. It might be a fight, who knows? I mean, it's not like you've got anything better to do. Just watch the damn game. Then on Thursday, you've got New York at Indiana on NBA TV at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And these two are only separated by half a game. Every win counts. I mean, half of the Eastern Conference, the playoffs has already begun. And that includes these two teams. Because if you don't win here, you could very well not be playing a week from now. Well, that's it for this edition of WNBA Weekly. Tune in on Friday for another all-new episode. But until then, this has been The Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lytle. Have a great weekend. Okay, not weekend, but week. You know what I mean. Just enjoy the games. It's almost playoff time.